I will give every soul safe conduct to Christian lands. Every soul. The women, the children, the old, and all your knights and soldiers, and your queen. Your king, such as he is, I leave to you, and what God will make of him. No one will be harmed. I swear to God.
The Christians butchered every Muslim within the walls when they took this city.
I am not those men. I am Salahuddin. Salahuddin.
In that state, Salahuddin couldn't go to the masjid anymore. But he insisted on praying salah with Jama'ah, and they would bring an imam, they would help him up, and he would pray salah in Jama'ah. On the 9th day, the demise of the Khulafai Rashidun, Ibn Shaddad mentions that many times I had heard the saying that I wish I could die on this place. And I always thought that this was an exaggeration. But he said, I realized the reality of that statement when the Prophet, because everybody loved him. The good loved him, the bad loved him, the Muslim, the legacy behind him. And this is why we are gathered here today. He passed away at the time of Fajr, and after Dhuhr they brought his body out. And the narrations mention that people stood unconscious. They didn't attend the janazah because they couldn't believe that Salahuddin had passed away, the liberator of the Holy Lands. And how was Salahuddin buried? They had to borrow money for a janazah. And Qadi Fadil gave a fatwa that Salahuddin should be buried with his sword, so that on the day of judgment when he's resurrected, and one of the 7 people who is under the shade of Allah is Imamun Adilun, a just ruler, when he's under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is leaning upon his sword. So everybody sees that this is the liberator of the Holy Land. And on his tomb they wrote, because this was the man who liberated, this was the man who flung open the gates of fortresses and castles of the Christians, one after the other. And on his tomb they wrote, "Oh Allah, as his final victory, open for him the gates of Jannah. Open for him the gates of Jannah." And my dear respected brothers and sisters listening at home, Salahuddin is one of the greatest heroes of Islam. And this is why we have gathered here to remember this. But the problem with many Muslims has become today, or with all Muslims, is that we live off our legacy. As a poet says, he said the Muslims come to the grave of Salahuddin, and they come again and again. And what do? They stand by the grave of Salahuddin and they say, "Qum ya Salahuddin, qum." Oh Salahuddin, stand. Stand up, oh Salahuddin, we need you. Can't you see what's happening in Iraq? Can't you see what's happening in Afghanistan? Can't you see the supine, spineless leaders that we have? Oh Salahuddin, we need you to liberate the Holy Lands. The poet says they come and they say, "Qum ya Salahuddin, qum, hatta ishtaka marqatuhu min hawli al-afuna." He says, they come to his grave and they say, "Oh Salahuddin, stand, stand." Until his grave began to complain about the stench around it. And the poet says, "Kam mar'atan fil aami tuqidunahu, kam mar'atan ala al-jidar al-jubni tajlidunahu, ayatlubu al-ahya'u min amwatihim ma'una." He said, how many times in the year are you going to wake Salahuddin up? He said, how many times are you going to whip Salahuddin for your own cowardice? And then he says sarcastically, ayatlubu al-ahya'u min amwatihim ma'una. He said, has it come to the state that the living have started asking the dead for help? The living have started asking the dead for help. Nobody aspires to be a Salahuddin. Nobody tries to be a Umar ibn Khattab or Abu Dhar or Abu Bakr radiallahu anhum or a Khadija or a Fatima. Nobody aspires to be like them. We live off our legacy. We remember these people, but none of us aspire to be like them. We can't be cowardice because we believe in a hereafter. You can't celebrate the life of Salahuddin and Umar ibn Khattab and then be cowardice yourself.